So a few years ago, I did a review for Jeepers Creepers 3, which ended up being actually one of my most well-received videos I had done on the channel and brought a lot of you guys to the channel as subscribers, which is the only good thing that came out of seeing that movie. And I had said in that review that I would never again drive a long distance to see a Jeepers Creepers film like that in theaters again. And lo and behold, I drove further this time to see a movie that is arguably worse than the third. I didn't think it was possible. Kaylee has no context for that. I only showed her part 1 and 2.
Mm-hmm.
But believe it or not, 3 is just as bad. This might be worse, though. I didn't think it was possible. I really didn't. The trailer we watched, I thought, oh, it'll be okay.
Yeah, me too.
It'll be fine. But it's horrendous on like every imaginable level, from script to acting to visuals to costumes. It doesn't matter. You pick it, right? And I shouldn't say costumes. What I should say there is like the effects on the creeper, right? The way he looks outright, I just think is terrible and a huge major downgrade from the original creeper.
Yeah.
So yeah, we spent almost our entire later half of our day going to see this down in Phoenix, which is a 2-hour drive from here, and a 2-hour drives back. So this took a good majority of our day, and we don't even get to do anything else today because of it much. So I definitely don't want to waste a ton of time on it. But good thing is that it's out of theaters now. This is the third and final day, so you don't have to see this in theaters if you missed it. This should not have been released in theaters. I said the same thing about Jeepers Creepers 3. This is bad for the genre. Kaylee and I were talking about that, and I told her some people might see that as me thinking like I have some kind of elitist mentality with I don't really care how you view it. I do think it's a bad look for the genre.
Yes.
Because the genre is already dismissed and looked down upon. And when you put something like this in theaters, which is so far below anything in any other genre, it just adds on top of an already struggling genre of film that has put out so much good content in the last 5 to 10 years that it's really kind of started to get acknowledged again. Not that the horror genre needs the acknowledgement, but I don't know. You guys can think whatever you want on that. The reason you should care about that is because the more people who watch it, the more it will get made, the more budgets will get towards it, the more projects will get greenlit. So if you're like, oh, who cares who likes this, as long as I like it, and we'll be the cool kids who are in the minority. The minority doesn't get as much.
No.
So it does matter.
Yes.
But I do not think that this film should have been released in theaters. I think it's genuinely awful and isn't even good enough for VOD. But making someone go to the theater, especially people like us who drove so far, when you could have just dropped this on VOD, pisses me off. It pisses me off. This should have been a VOD. Actually, this shouldn't have been released. This is so bad, but VOD at best.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just thinking of people who are maybe trying to give horror another chance, and they're taking a chance on another horror film and watching this and getting such a sour taste in their mouth. Like, it's embarrassing and it's offensive to the genre. And it's not even like we were laughing during the movie.
A lot
At how bad everything was, but it wasn't really a fun laugh, if that makes sense. We had a big conversation.
It was awkward laughing.
It was awkward. We had a huge conversation on our drive home about the movie and about why, there's a huge difference between like good trashy films that have personality and character and charm that, you know, are bad objectively, but there's something to them that makes it like, you know, redeemable. And this movie isn't that. Like it's just bad on, as you said, so many levels. It fails in literally every part. So
Now, I don't know if this is accurate. Please, anybody who worked on the film can corroborate this. I don't know. But apparently, according to a website, this film had a $10 million budget. There's no way that's possible. There's no way that's possible. For context, we looked up a bunch of films. Hereditary was also made for $10 million. So to watch this and watch Hereditary, forget it. Insidious was made for $1.5 million. The Witch was made for $4 million. Midsommar was made for $9 million. $1 million below this. There's no way that can be accurate. The amount of green screen used in this film. Now,
God.
there is an intro by the director.
Mm-hmm.
And he's kind of talking about COVID and this and that. We've seen plenty of COVID movies that were great. I mean, a lot of movies were made during COVID, right? Like everything we saw this year was made during COVID.
Sure, yeah.
And there's phenomenal films. Freaking Pearl, which is, you know, arguably my favorite film of this year, was made during COVID. And they wove it into the script, right? To be influenza instead of COVID, so all the extras could wear masks and it would have a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't use COVID. But this was a remarkably bad film because because all the things I want to talk about in spoilers is more of like the logic and all that stuff. And in movies that you enjoy, you're willing to forgive things for sure. When you're disliking a film in every way, you become extremely nitpicky. Everything annoys you.
Hypercritical.
So like there are things that I'm going to mention that are like, okay, would I mention this in other films if I was really enjoying myself, or if it was a like really fun bad movie, you know, a la 1980s trash cinema that put out these like charming, albeit terrible films, right? This, on the other hand, is just bad in every way and only laughable because you're shocked that it was released in theaters and was made with this franchise attached to it. But after 3, I'm not really sure why I'd be even surprised. But you were kind of blindsided. Because you'd never seen 3.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we're going to talk spoilers from here on. You're only going to be able to see this on VOD now. I know there's going to be people, and even if I say this, it doesn't really matter. You're going to want to watch it for yourself, and our review on it is going to be so ridiculous. You're going to be like, oh, I got to see this.
Don't watch it.
You don't.
You don't need to watch it.
You really don't. Please don't waste your time.
It's bad. It's so bad. And we do not recommend it at all.
It's funny, I had a lot of like aggression and anger, and I was a lot more like hyped up when in my Jeepers Creepers 3 review. This one I'm just more like defeated and like kind of sad and kind of just like, I don't know. This is like one of those, I don't know. Let's say that you were like really wanted to be a professional baseball player or whatever, and you watch a game where a guy is like, you know, out there doing what you want to do and sucking so bad at it that you're like, I know I could be better than him, and then you're just kind of mad at yourself that you're not doing that thing. Like, okay, if this guy can do it, why can't I get this off the ground? And like, I don't know.
It's a good analogy.
If you really had a $10 million budget and you did this with it, man. And this is the director of Iron Sky. Which is pretty wild, even though that does use a lot of green screen. So that's probably why a lot of green screen was used here, because there is no reason for the green screen that they use, and it makes the film feel and look so cheap. And they use it for like every car scene, every time they're in the car that's not real driving, they're just on a green screen. And then like they're out. This is the first piece of real quick, and then I'll let Kaylee go, and then I'll go. But the first thing with the green screen, like, how expensive is it to go into the woods in a remote location, just wherever the hell, in a wooded area, and film, versus getting everyone into a studio with green screens and then hiring people to put the woods and everything behind you? I can't imagine that going out into the woods costs less.
No.
Or more, sorry.
More, yeah.
I just can't. Why wouldn't you just go into the woods? It's not an expensive filming location. It's not like downtown New York City where it's like impossible to film and you need like lots of permits and you can barely get that approved because the state and the city codes are so insane and it's so expensive. This is the woods. I mean, there's a reason why horror is so cheap most of the time. So the reason why something like Evil Dead or something can get made is because these are free locations. You don't even need a permit. You just go out and you film in the woods.
Yeah. And
you're green screening the woods.
Yes.
Why? Why, when you know it's going to look as bad as it does, why would you green screen people just walking through the woods, walking through a graveyard, walking up to a house, having the cops be in the background?
Oh my God.
But they're green screened in. They're not even like in the scene with you. They're just added green screen effect.
And like the amount of effort you have to go through to match like the lighting and the color and all of that is just, it's like you're making the job harder than it needs to be. And it doesn't even improve the quality of it.
Not even close.
At all.
Not even close.
Yeah.
You're not doing big, action sequences like in an Avengers movie or something, right? You're not
It's
doing...
just walking in the freaking woods.
Like, as much as people don't like the Hobbit movies, like, the green screen served a lot of purpose for what they were trying to achieve, like it or not.
Yeah.
This green screen, why?
I don't have any answer for it. I mean, we were sitting there trying to figure out for the entire car ride why so many of these decisions were made. And it's baffling.
And then we realized we never actually even moved from where we were because we were just on green screen in the car the whole time driving home. We got and we were just like, oh my God, I forgot to turn the car on.
Oh my God.
So what's your favorite scene of the film?
So we're talking spoilers?
Yes,
okay.
100%.
My favorite scene, I don't know. I mean, I really liked the Coachella for cosplay and seeing the 500 Beetlejuice, aka the one guy that was Beetlejuice that was in every background shot for some reason.
Yeah.
That I liked.
So they go to the Coachella of cosplay, and there is seriously
12 people.
Maybe I'll say 50 people. I'll say 50 people there, and legitimately, there's a guy who's in a Beetlejuice costume, and he's the ticket taker for the place. But because they only have 50 people, maybe less, they have to put anybody they have into the background to fill it up to make it look like there's more people. So basically everywhere they shoot from that point on while they're there at this festival, which is supposed to be like a horror festival, and the worst interpretation of horror fans ever put to screen. I don't know what horror fans these are, but they aren't any I recognize. But this Beetlejuice guy, who's supposed to be working up front as the ticket taker, is somehow in every single background shot that they are. They go over here to this thing. They go over to this thing. They go over to this area. They go over here. He's here. He's here. He's here. He's here. You're like, don't you have a job? Are you following them?
Oh my God, it's such a recognizable and obvious costume to stick in the background.
Yeah, you couldn't put that actor in a different costume?
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so when we were talking about it, I feel like we can go down so many rabbit holes of why it sucks, what we don't understand. But I will say that from the beginning, the biggest thing that was turning me off from the film, like aside from the green screen, was the chemistry and the acting between the lead actress and her boyfriend.
Yeah.
And I just felt like their relationship was so unrelatable. It was so toxic and gross on both sides. Like we were talking about, she's so unsupportive of him.
Yes.
He's equally unsupportive of her, but we
Yes.
get much more of her like disdain
Yes.
and belittling of him. And it's
Because
just,
they're going somewhere he wants to go.
they're going somewhere he wants to go, and he's gonna propose to her. So he's taking her to a horror festival, which she's not even into. And
His timing for his proposal is impeccable.
it's crazy.
It's amazing. Such a great time to propose to somebody.
Yeah.
And then her acceptance of that
Oh
proposal
my God.
later in the movie, we literally laughed out loud because
Yeah.
we couldn't help ourselves.
It's just embarrassing. It's like really cringy. But it's just everything with them. I hated it so fucking much. I thought it was awful. And I'm just very confused with the plot of the film, which I know that you want to talk about a lot of things because there's
Is there a
so
plot?
much. One of the big things is obviously I don't really get what the cult's purpose is with the creeper, and like we've been saying, what they're gaining from it exactly, like what their motivation is at all. And why there's only 3 of them. Why there's only 3 women, but sometimes we see more in her visions, the main girl's visions.
That never comes true or never happened.
With her, like,
it's not a
weird
vision of
symbol.
the past, and it's not a vision of the future, so I'm not really sure what it is.
No, I have no idea.
And the, like, little target that ends up on her birth control and on her forehead, I guess is her mark, because she's gonna birth the next creeper. But if he eats the baby, he has eternal life. But he already has eternal life because he wakens every 23 years for 23 days, indefinitely. I didn't think he ever died, but maybe he does. And maybe I thought maybe they're gonna explain, like, if he eats this baby, or if he passes his soul on to this baby or whatever, that he's able to roam the countryside and kill forever. That he doesn't ever have to go into hibernation anymore. I thought maybe that's the road they were going to go down. No,
that's not it.
The cult, I have no idea. I don't know what the exchange is. Like what the creeper's going to give them, or why they worship him and whatnot. They don't even try to attempt an explanation for that.
Not at all.
The whole like remake of the first film with Dee Wallace and that other guy, and them out on the road, and then the creeper's coming after him, and the creeper's a human in that because, you know, it's like an unsolved mystery dramatization of it, but then we get the kicker that's a recreation of something that supposedly happened, right? And we already have a movie, because in this film, it is stated that the Jeepers Creepers films that we know, the 3 films that already exist in the previous franchise, since this is a reboot, those are movies in this universe. Then they remade that with Dee Wallace and I forget the other guy's name. Doesn't matter. But then he's watching that on his cell phone. So this is a recent recreation of basically what happens in the first movie, why they'd even recreate it when Jeepers Creepers with Justin Long exists, why anyone would make that into a YouTube video. It's like, why not just point them towards Jeepers Creepers? Like, why is he sitting there watching Dee Wallace? Why wasn't he watching the first film? Do they not have the rights to show the first film? He should have just been watching like a recap of the first movie and be like, you know that this is based on a real story, right? No, they had to remake that, then slightly reference the other one, but they couldn't say the name. But I'm like, the literal name of your movie is Jeepers Creepers. You don't own the rights to say the name Jeepers Creepers is the name of the films. Regardless, putting all that aside, the thing that really threw my mind for a full loop, because as I said, the film already exists in this world. So why is there a YouTube recreation with Dee Wallace and whatever? Then they find newspaper clippings of the actual murders that YouTube video was based on, and the picture of the couple are the actors in the YouTube video.
Yeah, and they really focus on it too. It's not supposed to just be like a quick like pan, like, oh, you're gonna make that connection. It's like they pan and then they come back to it and linger and really want you to see.
Dee Wallace is a recognizable real. Actress in horror.
Very recognizable.
The Howling, Cujo, go down the list. We all know who Dee Wallace is. When I saw her in the picture, I was like, wait a minute. Isn't that the actor that was doing the dramatization of what happened? Even though they already have a better dramatization that exists? That is the Justin Long movie that everybody loves, that you've acknowledged exists within this universe?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff in this movie where I was just like, do you guys care at all?
Oh my gosh.
Are you trying? But we know somebody tried. That's what Kayla was trying to say over and over, is like, she felt bad to do this review because she's like, I know people are going to watch this that have made the film, that worked on it, and I know some of them really tried. And it's probably really sad for them. Or maybe they'll get mad and be like, what are you talking about? This movie's awesome. Okay, that's fine. I mean, we can all have a difference of opinion. Yeah. We both think it's a terrible film.
Yeah.
But that's fine. You think it's great, that's great. And I hope you're proud of it. But, putting that aside, I'm sure there's people who worked on this who love what they were able to achieve. And then they watch the movie and were like, oh, man.
Yeah.
And, it's a gut kick, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's the big bummer.
It's so hard. I feel like we could go on for an hour pointing out so many things.
Yeah.
Like the fact that the main girl is taken down into the creeper's basement to have the baby cut out of her, I guess. Or maybe he wasn't, because in the end she does go black-eyed. So he... what? Put his possession into her and now is going to take over her fetus. She's going to become the new creeper. But he's reborn through the crows that ate every single bit of him, including the blood that was on the weather vane. Don't know.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
But she was taken to the basement and then somehow...
Yes.
She's in the attic or an upstairs.
She's in the third story somehow. So she's down in the basement where the creeper is. The creeper flies out. We see him come out
of the ground.
Out of the ground. She's in a basement or something, and then she crawls through a random air vent.
Yeah.
Even though there's already a huge air vent right above her, so I don't even know why this thing would exist over here. But maybe goes into the house. I don't know what it is, but somehow she John McClane's her way all the way up through this vent system, all the way to the top floor, to then fall through the floor conveniently in the room that they're in.
Don't understand the geography of that at all. It makes no sense.
And that was
no sense.
So the whole escape room thing was just a ploy to get them out there to that house. But did they know she was coming? They already had all this set up.
Can't figure out.
So once they touched hands, the main girl isn't a psychic, but her touch of the other girl who is a psychic psychically linked her to show her visions of something that would not happen.
Yeah.
But that kind of had some sort of relevance towards the cult that was attached to the Creeper's master plan, of which we don't know what it is, nor do we know what the cult's involvement or purpose is.
Yeah, it was like she was able to see what they wanted to do to her, but whether or not they knew that it would be specifically this girl that was coming to town, that specifically happened to be around this 23rd year that he would be coming out, I have no idea. I don't know how they would have known that. I don't feel like that's set up well at all. But talking about the cult, how would you feel? I asked you this already, but... would you buy a $50 map?
I got so mad about this in the theater. We talked a lot during this movie, and our theater was pretty full, and we had a horrendous crowd.
We had a
horrible crowd. I don't even want to get into them. But we actually talked a decent amount, and this was one of the scenes. Sorry, Go on. I had to lean over to her and talk to her about this map thing, because it drove me insane when it happened.
Yes, so they go to, early on in the film, the boyfriend and her stop at some, like, it's like a voodoo gift shop.
Sure.
In wherever, the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
And they ask her for directions to a hotel, I guess, actually.
The hotel, yeah.
And she tells them, she shows them the map, and she says, this is where we are. This is where you gotta go. Go down this road for about 5 miles or whatever, and then you take a left.
Stay on the very specific road you are on. The only one and only road you are driving on when you got here. Just continue to keep going up that for about 5 miles until you see the signs and then pull off. Those are the directions, the easiest directions ever given by a human being, and somehow they still need to and are conned into buying an antique map for $50 to follow those insanely simplistic directions.
Yeah. I mean, duh.
Like, he wouldn't be like, we don't need the map. He actually paid the $50.
He pays her.
Why? Why would you pay the $50?
I don't know.
Give her like $5 for the directions if you feel bad. Like, oh, I don't want to just come in here, ask for directions, and not buy anything. So like, here's $5 as a tip. I'm not buying a $50 map when I have GPS in my phone.
Yeah.
But regardless, they can't find it. That's fine. But she's like, just go down here till you see signs. Keep driving straight. You'll see signs to where you're going, and then turn. Okay, I don't need a map. I'm good. It wasn't like, oh, she wrote... This is what I'm talking about. This is what pisses me off about this movie, is the lack of caring when it comes to the writing. If you're gonna buy a map, God damn it, this pisses me off. As somebody who would be there on set or like knew the writer or whatever, I would sit down and I would read that and I would say, okay, just off the top of my head, in 2 seconds, I could fix this scene to make sense for what they're going for and the fact she's ripping them off and whatever. You have her pull out the map and they say, we can't find this on GPS. And she's like, oh, those new phones don't know nothing about this old country. You got to know the real roads around here. Like, I'm from this area. Let me show you a real map. She pulls out a real map of the area that actually has the roads that the GPS doesn't include. She takes a marker or whatever and she starts marking their path. And is like, you have to go down here. You're going to see this. And you're going to make a left here. You're going to go here. You're not going to find any of this on the GPS. This is going to be the fastest route there. And then she like folds it back up. And they're like, oh, let me see that. And she's like, you want those directions? It's going to be $50.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
2 fucking seconds of thought to make that make sense.
Yeah.
Just go straight down here. And when you see the signs, make a left. But you need this $50 map. No, you don't. And you fucking know you don't. And the writers know they don't. And the audience knows that they don't. And they don't give a shit. And it pisses me off. This kind of stuff pisses me off. I watch these movies and I say, no. That's no. You cannot write something like that. And as an audience member, it be expected to just go, oh, okay. Sure.
No,
that makes sense. She's in the basement.
Yeah.
Then she crawls through something and she ends up on the top floor of the house and falls through. Nobody can get out a single window or anything because it's Fort fucking Knox. But then when they have the most ill-conceived plan of all time to take a weather vane and throw it down on the creeper, which is the dumbest plan I've ever seen, especially in how it's executed. But they decide to go up there and all of a sudden, they can get out of the house, no problem upstairs. Just right out on the roof. Oh, wait, I thought we couldn't get out of this house. Guess there's an exit now when it's convenient. But then they go up and they grab the weather vane and they're going to throw it down, right? And what does she do? She knows what their plan is. Dumbest fucking plan. And the creeper just walks right past them when they're just kind of like right here and they're just kind of like going, oh, no, you can't see me. I'm invisible. They're right there. The creeper can freaking smell their DNA, but he can't see them sitting right in front of the stairs because his focus is on baby girl. Fine, whatever. So he walks to her. She decides to stay on the porch, knowing that the target zone is in the front yard. She allows him to grab onto her, where he's physically so overpowering, does not know how he's going to react. The dude can fucking fly and take you at 100 miles per hour. You already know this. This has already happened to you specifically. Not somebody saw you. He then walks slowly, because it's convenient, over to her. Her plan is to stand on the porch where the freaking weapon, the javelin that's thrown by Hercules, she's going to stand there on the porch, luring him to the spot where he's not going to be, in the hopes that she's going to be able to get free and then lure him further. Why would she not lure him to the destination as opposed to stopping? Why would she not continue to keep backing up to where he's supposed to be? Mm-hmm. She's going to get him there and then be like, oh, I'll have time to grab something and stab him and then move back and do this and be cute and do my fucking line that dethrones "do your thing, cuz." What's that line, Kaylee?
How do you like those peepers,
Bitch.
Or these peepers?
How do you like these? No, it's those peepers.
I know why she couldn't go back far enough, though. Like, it was
the
a
green
screen was, like, right there. And she's like, I can't. We gotta, like, reorient the scene. So, I mean, maybe if she had that map, like, when she was in the house, she wouldn't have somehow wound up at the top floor when she needed to be, like, you know, lower.
Yeah.
But also, like, what do you think about Wi-Fi towers? And do you think that taking out the Wi-Fi / electricity for a whole area would also take out any potential electricity at an abandoned house in that area?
The only thing that I can assume, and we talked about this, because when he knocked out what I thought was the power, and then all that did was knock out the Wi-Fi, and the DJ was able to spin discs and continue to keep doing the party, I was really confused by that at first. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. Why is there still power? And then when they got to the house, which is this abandoned old house that hasn't been used or lived in forever, people are falling through the fucking floors. This place is not being kept up at all. But it has a working phone line and working electricity, which is pure nonsense. I guess the cult decided to keep up the bills. Regardless, when he ran his truck into the tower, I was thinking, wait a minute, this house already shouldn't have power, because there's no way that the power A works and B would still be on. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you knocked out the power grid and the power still works, that doubles down on it. So I'm like, there's no way it has to just be the Wi-Fi tower. But a guy who's been asleep for 23 years somehow knows to knock out the Wi-Fi tower to take out their cell phones? Were cell phones even around the last time he was out? Well, I'm assuming he ate the guy's brain.
That's what we decided.
Don't care. How does his truck work? the Colt is keeping up his truck, making sure they rotate his tires, keeping the gas, filling it up. Or just taking it and they're like, oh, he's going to be coming back this spring. We got to get that truck fixed back up.
Exactly.
We just got to get it out there for him. Yeah. Right?
That's what they've been doing. Yeah. I don't see what other purpose.
Because gasoline and oil and whatnot does not sit for 23 years. No. Tires don't sit for 23 years. Your car would not work. So someone has to be maintaining his truck. But this is what I'm talking about.
Minimum maintenance.
But this is what I'm talking about. The creeper's truck not being properly maintained and it being drivable is one of those things, what I was alluding to earlier, when it's a nitpick in a movie I like otherwise. Right? Because it happens in the Justin Long movie.
Sure.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'm enjoying the film and it's like, how did he get a personalized license plate? Don't care. Yeah. Okay? He went to the DMV. I don't know.
He mailed it in. That's what we all
Sure, he mailed it in. Doesn't matter. I don't care because I'm into the movie. But when you watch a movie like this, you're like, you just start to see everything. You start to see every problem.
It just compiles and you're just like crushed by the awfulness of it all, really, at the end. And there are so many other parts, so many other little, not even little, but just things throughout the film.
I got one. Go ahead. I'm glad I remembered it.
Is it whenever you're in the middle of the woods and you have to go to the
Yes.
bathroom?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a big one that made no sense. There's a character early on that's supposed to be meeting up with everybody, and he stops his car in the middle of the woods because he needs to go to the bathroom.
The middle
of the woods. Nobody else around him. No other cars.
How far do you need to run from your car to piss when you're in the middle of the woods by yourself?
I'm gonna say at least like 5 miles. Like, I don't want to see my car or know that it's anywhere near me.
This guy like goes on a hike
He's like,
to take a piss.
Let me just like do this quick little jog real fast.
He ran so far into the woods to take a piss. I was like, are you going to be able to find your car if you live?
No, we were like, just open your door. Don't get out. Don't stop the car. Just aim it out.
And just piss.
That's all you got to do.
I laughed so hard when I was watching him run. I was just like, where are you going?
Yeah.
How deep into the woods do you have to piss? Those are those kinds of things, as you say, you notice because you're hating the movie already, and you're just like the amount of distance the man has to travel to piss is pissing me off.
He also had an awful death scene where his scream,
the
ADR
in this
like
film.
Something with the way that his scream faded was so like it's just very fake sounding.
The voodoo chick being like,
eat the baby, live forever, or something. Whatever the chant was.
Oh my god! And then the girl that was like the host.
Oh my god, the fucking like
not the blonde girl, but
Elvira.
the wannabe like Elvira girl who was like supposed to be the hip horror chick who was up on stage, and
she was supposed to be like the
her
sexy
accent. It almost reminded me of Sick Girl.
It was
the way she was talking, but not good,
no,
not entertaining, just
not,
like
or
laughable,
cute or anything. It was, and like this is in Louisiana. It can't be that hard to find people that are either naturally have a Southern accent or can do a believable Southern accent. Because the people in this movie that were doing Southern accents, it was laughable. It was really laughable. As somebody from the South, I'm insulted by it.
The moment in which the boyfriend proposes.
Oh my god. Is
like one. I actually slapped my forehead being like, this is really the time you're thinking to propose right now.
Yeah, I said what out loud, really.
And really she gets swept away by the creeper like right as it's about to happen.
So
and then
funny.
like 10, 20 minutes later, she's like, I am pregnant and I will marry you.
And yes,
you're
I
like,
will marry you.
Oh my god.
What the fuck is happening?
What are these? What is this line delivery? What is this script?
I don't know.
I genuinely don't understand what's happening in this movie.
No, neither do I. And I just like it's a shame because I really like Jeepers Creepers 1 and 2. I actually was very scared by Jeepers Creepers 2. I think that the creeper has like a fantastic look in that film. I love the bus scene with his eyes, like when he's like looking at everybody.
Yeah.
And it's just so scary and it's unsettling and it is creepy, genuinely. And in this movie, they don't even show the creepers' peepers, which what the heck? Why would you not?
How do you like those peepers?
I don't, because I didn't even get to see them really. All the focus on the design was like on the mouth, which is not as interesting to me because I feel like Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those peepers? Like it's the whole thing. You want to see the eyes. But regardless, like it's such a downgrade from those two films that I think are actually pretty decent and I really like them. And I'm glad that I didn't watch 3, but I am sad that we had to go watch this.
Yeah.
And
there's a couple nods to the other movies I'd pointed out to Kaylee of the Post Puncher, which you see in the background when the creeper's crawling out from his 23-year slumber. Obviously, it was used by Ray Wise's character in Jeepers Creepers 2 as a harpoon gun. So a little nod there. The voodoo doll thing that they find in the cult's table of random paraphernalia is dressed in Derry's outfit, Justin Long's character from the first one. Yeah, I mean, I honestly, like, I would have to stretch so far to find a positive thing to say about the film.
You had like a 2-second scene that was an action sequence that you were like, that was okay. Like they did something there.
The girlfriend looked pretty hot in the Harley Quinn outfit, and the
no, I didn't like her in any of those because I was like, she's fake. She's fake fan. She doesn't even like any. She doesn't even know any of these characters. I don't know about the actress herself. Like her name is apparently Sydney Craven.
Sydney Craven, yeah.
So we were like,
that
what?
was funny.
All right. Yeah, I don't really have anything positive to say, and
I'm definitely forgetting moments. You guys let us know in the comments below. We talked about a ton of them in the car.
We did.
I'll probably be mad as soon as we shut this off. Like, oh yeah, that scene. That was ridiculous. And we laughed about that. There's a ton. And I told Kaylee while we were watching this felt like Hatchet without the self-referential comedy, knowing that, you know, you're doing this to be kind of playful and parody and try to be fun. This film takes itself so seriously. Like all the scenes are supposed to be serious, but somehow it still plays out like Hatchet, but Hatchet without any of the fun and without any of the gore and kills and all that. So it's a really poorly made Hatchet. I love Hatchet, but it just felt like that, where the characters are these like really archetypal, you know, they're very sort of
one-dimensional.
Not one-dimensional, stereotypical.
Yeah, stereotypical.
And I was just like the redneck character or whatever. Like all those characters, they're just so bland and uninteresting and dialed to 11, but not in a funny, interesting way. And like, we're taking this way too seriously and we should be having fun kind of way, and we're not. So, terrible film. No more to say about it. Wasted enough time, but I know everyone was waiting. I kind of came in a lull, but then I got pissed off about halfway through, and I ramped it up to where people like it. But I don't want to be pissed off, and I don't want to have wasted my day seeing this movie. Fuck you guys for putting it on VOD. Subscribe to the channel. Just like the video. Because we need it. We need it, man. Like boost my freaking morale by subscribing and liking and commenting and following all the stuff in the description.
All of the things.
Yeah.
What was your favorite scene in the movie?
Yeah.
Let us know.
My favorite was being with you.
Oh, that was my favorite. I liked that. That was good.
Bye, guys.
Bye.